I know that when people visualize someone who's been in prison, it's not someone like me. I often will tell people that I have been because I like to change people's perspective. Like it could be anybody, walking down the street. I think that people, I mean, there's a lot of discrimination, I feel like. For example, housing discrimination is my biggest thing. I don't think that you should be told you can't live somewhere because you're a felon. I think it should be a case-to-case thing. Maybe people assume that people who have been to prison are all violent or they're not, like, there's no hope for them, maybe, or whatever. I guess I don't really know what people think. But obviously not good, just because of the discrimination in jobs and housing. And I just think all of that's wrong. The fact we can't own guns. I mean, I understand to a degree. Well, I'll use myself as an example. I've never had a violent crime, gun-related crime. I'm honestly not even that interested in owning a gun. It's just the point of it being a right. And like myself, I have a drinking and driving crime and immediately lose my right to bear arms. Like, it's in the Constitution. To me, it seems wrong. And yeah, I just think most of us aren't really given a chance. Well, my name's Kayla. I am formerly incarcerated. I did 3 years at Women's Huron Valley in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I was there from 2015 to 2018. I'm also in recovery from hard drugs and alcohol. I had 11 years sober in February. I'm a mom. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I'm also in my bachelor's of social work program. I'm specializing in addiction study. Plan on being a counselor. And I'm also a DJ now. That's a pretty new thing, but add that to all my hats that I wear. Oh, and I own my own business. I have a house cleaning business. I've done that for about 3 years now.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Wear a lot of hats.
So where do you come from?
I'm from Lansing.
Lansing?
Yep.
What's one thing you can tell us about Lansing?
Well, it's the capital of Michigan. I think that it doesn't get enough credit as our capital. Everyone knows about Detroit, Grand Rapids, but Lansing kind of gets the short stick on that. But there's a lot of art and music here, and the people are really nice, and yeah, I love it.
Who were you when you were a little kid?
I grew up in Lansing. I didn't meet my real dad, until I was about 30. So I grew up like a step kid my whole life, kind of, and with my mom. I had 2 younger siblings. Moved from Lansing to Charlotte, which is about 20 minutes south of Lansing, when I was about 9. And that was pretty difficult transition for me. A few years later, as a teenager, I started partying and using drugs and all of that fun stuff.
How would you describe your childhood when it comes to growing up and going to school and overall as a girl?
I got bullied a lot in school, mostly for my looks. I've always been really thin, pale, small chested, and so I got bullied a lot for that by boys. And I think that I never had any close girl friendships really until I was a teenager and met my friends who I started partying with. And I think that's why I gravitated towards that, because I finally found like acceptance somewhere with people, and that's what we did. So yeah, I ended up, I think after my freshman year, I got like kicked out of the high school for skipping class. I had to go to alternative ed in like my sophomore year. I eventually did graduate, but yeah, school was just, I never wanted to really be there. I didn't have a hard time in my studies. I just didn't connect with other kids there, I guess.
How did your relationships continue throughout the years with the friends that you ended up finding in this little circle?
Well, the first person I connected with is my friend Renee, and we're actually still best friends of, I think it's 19 years this year. We're still best friends. So meeting her, I mean, she was the starting point for so many people I know now. A lot of my friends that I was close with as a teenager, I've either are still partying and stuff, or I've lost to drug addiction. So, but my friend Renee, she's remained solid. So that's really, I love her.
You're pretty popular amongst the ladies of the formerly incarcerated community.
Well, I definitely have to bring up Kamiko. Kamiko Ueda. We met in prison and we just got really close while we were in there. We ended up in the same unit. She was the building trades aide, I guess you could say. And so I took building trades for a year, and she was the instructor's helper, whatever they called it, I can't remember. But and then she got out about a year after me, and we just immediately connected. And I just love her. She's like my sister, but she lives 4 hours away, so kind of sucks. Another person who I really love is Mary Heinen. She is just, I met her after I got out, working with the Prisoner Creative Arts Project. And she is just a wonderful lady. She's so nice. And I admire her so much. And now I clean her house once a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she's an awesome lady. I don't know, there's a lot. I'm trying to think of. There's a lot of people.
How did you end up in the position to meet these ladies that we all know so much about now? How did that?
How did I end up in prison?
Yeah, how did that path end up happening?
So I went to prison on a drinking and driving related crime. It resulted in the death of my boyfriend at the time. I had been using drugs and alcohol I was about 21 or 22, and I'd been using drugs and alcohol since I was 15. We went to the bar one night, and that night didn't end well. And I immediately turned back to using drugs and alcohol. And I didn't really understand why, because after, going through something like that, causing something like that, why would you turn right back to the substance? So it made me realize that I had a problem at that point. And so I ended up entering a rehab called Teen Challenge. I was there for a year before I went to prison.
How old were you when this happened?
So I would have been 22, I think. So still very young. I didn't realize then how young I really was, but so I ended up going into the rehab and I got sober, and I was there a year before I went to prison. And then, I did the 3 years.
Did you have any prior experience with the criminal justice system, or did anybody go through that situation before you had ended up there?
I had never been, the night of the accident was the first night I ever been to jail. I had dealings with CPS in the past, but they put you through a similar court process, I guess, when you're dealing with CPS, but nothing I had never been arrested. I'd never been in trouble for anything, even, which is crazy because I never even had an MIP, so yeah. Oh, did I know anybody? Okay, I'm what was the other part of the question? I kind of knew some people who had been in jail, but I wasn't ever neither, my mom never did, or nobody super close to me was incarcerated or in and out of jail or anything like that.
You had no idea what the system was or anything like that?
Not really, no.
What was that experience, first walking in the door?
So the night that the accident happened and I went to jail, so they questioned me until 4 a.m, and then I was still kind of drunk. They put me in a cell by myself. I think they put me on suicide watch, which I'm not exactly sure why. I think probably just because of what I had just been through. But they sent in a psychiatrist in the morning to ask me how I was doing and stuff. And then they came in, they asked me if I wanted to go to population or if I wanted to stay in a cell by myself. And I was like, well, I want to go to population. And they were like, okay, as soon as you can blow zeros or whatever. So they come in, breathalyze me, I was good. So they leave and they come back and they say, you're being released pending investigation. So I was like, oh, crap. Like, I thought I was going to jail, you know what I mean? Then they let me out. So yeah, that night was like, that was like a blur. Like, I was really in shock too, I think, of everything that had just happened. When I actually got sentenced and went to jail, I actually had a lot of peace about it because I just spent a year in rehab. So I knew what was coming.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was out on bond the whole time. So I had some time to find some acceptance, find some peace about it. And I also had spent a year in an institutional type setting. So it made it an easier transition for me than if I had just come right off the streets and gone to jail. So, but it was definitely scary. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I'd only seen stuff that was on TV. So I didn't know. But when I went in the pod, everyone was so nice to me. Like, I was shocked. Like, and I was only in jail for 3 days and then I went to prison.
How did your family and friends react to this? You going to prison?
I don't have a lot of family. Like my mom, she was as supportive as she could be. Like, she took my calls and stuff. And then I have like an adopted uncle, and he would come and visit me. He'd always buy me secure packs. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, was like my dad before I met, you know. And so he was really supportive. My friends, honestly, like, a lot of my friends didn't stay in touch with me while I was locked up, but I kind of get it now that I'm out. Like, when you're in there, you're like, oh, no one's hitting me up. It's like the world goes so fast out here. It's easy to sit in there and be sad, or you know what I'm trying to say, but it's like the world goes so fast out there, and we were all so young still. I mean, 22 years old, like. So but when I got out, my friends all rallied together and supported me. So
How does your relationship with your friends differ from how it was before?
I don't hang out with a lot of the people that I did before because I had like a party lifestyle and I don't anymore. So, or haven't, I go out more now because of the DJing, but I still wouldn't consider myself having a party lifestyle. So, if anything, I felt like my friends had more respect for me, that like I got through that, made it through that and everything. So the people I'm still in contact with, I don't feel like it changed the relationship, except like we've grown, as individuals. And yeah.
What were your biggest fears or concerns when you first got to prison?
I thought people would be mean to me, I guess. Like, I don't know, like the guards were scary. Um I'm trying to remember because, like, I first went in now, like, it's been 10 years since I first went in. So,
How old are you now?
33.
Okay.
So it would have been 10 years, like, in January. Um, I think that, I don't know, just fear of the unknown. Like, you don't know what to expect. And, you don't know how you're gonna be able to interact with people. Like, especially me, I had only really seen things that were on TV and such. So I don't know, I didn't know the dynamics. Yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns that were scary, for sure.
When you talk about, transitions, what was the transition like? You only did 6 years?
3.
3?
Yeah.
So you just came off doing a year in a rehab.
Yeah, so I did a year in rehab and then 3 in
So you did a
prison.
rehab. How soon after that you went straight from rehab to prison?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did total essentially almost like 4 years, really.
Yeah.
How was the transition from going to prison and doing your 3 years and then kind of like coming over that hump and getting ready to come back out? Like, what type of things were on your mind?
I was very goal oriented. I had my to-do list, day one, 30 days, 6 months. Like, I, I don't know. I felt pretty good about it. I just felt good about my ability to succeed, I guess. I didn't have placement when I got released, so I got a special parole, and they never found me housing. They didn't do anything for me, but like my uncle found me a homeless shelter to stay at in Lansing. So like I knew coming out that, I mean, it was scary because I'm like, I'm going into a homeless shelter in Lansing. I'm used to living in Charlotte, which is smaller. I wasn't 100% what I was going to do for work. I didn't have any clothes. My friends came together and got a bunch of clothes, brought me clothes, and yeah.
How was that coming to circle around you and help get you the things that you need? Like, what was that like?
It was amazing. It meant so much to me because it's just something that, like, now I take for granted. I have so many clothes, but like when I got out, almost had nothing, and it was January, too, so it was
Yeah.
cold,
Yeah.
and I'm in the homeless shelter. I have to ride the bus and stuff, so I'm like, I need clothes, and so yeah, three of my girlfriends came together and went through their closets, and one of them came and dropped it off, and yeah, that was huge. It definitely made me not feel so alone. Like I had support.
How did you maneuver yourself to ease yourself back into, I guess you would call it a normal life? What did you do? How did you do it?
So, luckily, I knew a lot of the resources in the area just for people and resources in general, not even because for people coming out of prison, there aren't a lot of resources. So, luckily, I just knew the general resources in the area, such as housing services, DHS, and all of that. So, I got my old job back waitressing, and my friend let me stay with her on her couch. And I started waitressing. And then I also got a job. My friend who I stayed with got me a job at a gas station. So immediately I had two jobs, like 2, 3 weeks out. I had two jobs. I just started stacking up my money and looking for apartments. I got denied like 4 times for being a felon before I finally, the last person, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him I was a felon because I was sick of getting denied, dude. So the last person, I really wanted that apartment. It's like my fifth one. I'm like, I'm just not going to say anything. And I got it. And I actually have the same landlord now. Over 7 years later, I have the same landlord. You know what I mean? And that's just because he gave me a shot, and now I've been a good, loyal tenant to him all this time. And yeah, so I got a 1 bedroom apartment. So I had two jobs in my own apartment, like 2 months of getting out,
Nice.
which I'm super proud about.
No,
like
that's definitely an accomplishment, especially when you come out with nothing, not really a support system, if you will. That's definitely an accomplishment. What goals were on this list? This
Dang, I still have it. I wish I should have brought it. It was like,
We'll get that next time.
okay, the professional one. Oh man, I've got my whole journal for when I was in there. Yeah, anyways. So my goals were mainly to get a job, get an apartment, go to AA regularly. Trying to remember, get time with my daughter. Because I had to work towards getting time with my daughter. My daughter was only 4 months old when I went to prison. Yeah, I think I had like 30-day, 6 month, or I had like 30-day, 1 year, and like 5 year goals. And I accomplished everything except owning a house. That's the only thing.
Right.
Like on the 5 years, I didn't accomplish yet. But
I wanna slide back a little bit. You had mentioned that your daughter was 4 months old. What was that like?
that was really hard. So the rehab I was in was for pregnant women. And so I went in there, I was pregnant. That was the other reason I went to rehab, because like I couldn't stop drinking and using drugs, and now I'm pregnant and I knew I was going to prison. So I was like, I need to make a change. And so I went into the rehab for pregnant women, had my daughter there. Yeah, when she was 4 months old, I had to sign over custody to her dad and go serve my time. And it was awful, honestly. That probably was the hardest part, was leaving my baby at that point.
Were you able to see your daughter during the time that you were inside, or
He did not bring her to see me. No.
what was? I was going to ask the question. How was that for you? Like, just.
It was really hard. When I was in there, he moved to Tennessee with her, and I didn't know if I was going to even really see her when I got out. Him and I haven't always gotten along the best. He didn't want me to call myself mom to her on the phone, and he moved to Tennessee. So I didn't know what that relationship was going to look like when I got out. But he ended up moving back here like 2 months before I got out. And then when I got out, I was asking to see her, and he has his own troubles with addiction and stuff like that. And he was struggling at the time, which I didn't know. All I cared about was I wanted to see my kid. But I ended up having to petition the court for parenting time. And as legally as her parent, they have to give me parenting time. So I had to do, I think it was like 2 months of supervised visits with him. And then I got to start having her overnight, and it just progressed. And now I have her 2 nights a week and every other holiday.
What was it like the first day you saw her?
First, it's hard because for me at least, like I felt like I knew her still. And even though she had gotten so much bigger, I was a stranger to her.
Yeah.
So it's so hard when you feel that love and you just want to like shower love on the child, but you have to kind of hold back because you're a stranger to them at this point. And so we just grew our relationship. So she was 4 when we started getting visits. And now she doesn't even remember me not being around. Like, so, and she's my little buddy. I love her. She's 10 now.
Yeah. Does she know you went to prison?
Yeah. I try to be very age appropriately honest. As I've pretty much explained it to her, it's like an adult timeout. Mm-hmm. You break a rule, you get put in timeout. You're an adult, you break the law, you get put in. You get put in adult. Well, you have to.
Adult timeout. You damn right it is.
You gotta to make it like in a way, to explain it in a way that they understand, you know. And she actually asked me just a couple weeks ago why I went to prison, and I told her that when she is the correct age and it's age appropriate, I'll tell her why. But right now at 10 years old, I don't feel that it is age appropriate or necessary. But she knows I went, and if anything, I'm happy I was honest, because now she can see what a person can do, even when they've been in a situation like that.
What are your goals moving forward?
Well, right now I'm working on my bachelor's degree. I have a year left of that, and then 2 years on my master's degree. I want to go into counseling, substance abuse counseling, and I want to work with formerly incarcerated. And there's all kinds of different offshoots of, you know, therapy you can do that I'm interested in. And then really, I mean, honestly, I'm mainly focused on school right now. That's my main goal.
Why formerly incarcerated?
I think it really helps to talk with someone who understands the experience you've been through. There's really not a lot of resources for us either. You aren't going to hear a lot of therapists that specialize in working with formerly incarcerated, you know. So I want to be able to be available to that population, and as a person who's been through it, you know, who can understand this. The same with working with substance use disorder, because I've been there, so I can relate to people. And for me, that's been really helpful, especially the formerly incarcerated thing. Like, you just connect with people who have been. It's like they immediately almost become your family, because that you have both been there, and you know like what it feels like. And
you don't have to know them.
Yeah.
And you feel that.
It's like, oh, you were locked up. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's right. What type of changes do you think need to be made when it comes to the system and their overall evaluation of each person that comes through their system?
I think it would be beneficial if after a certain period of time, after somebody gets off parole, we'll say 5 years after someone gets off parole, that they, even maybe 10 years, if they really want to make it harsh, 10 years or something, when someone, after someone gets off parole, like review their case and allow them to present themselves and either just prove that they can be, that they are rehabilitated and that they're being a productive member of society. And if they could do that, maybe not expunge their felony, but make it, I don't know, make it certain things easier, because people get out of prison and they're told, no, you can't have this job because you're a felon. No, you can't live here because you're a felon. How are you supposed to get ahead if, and then people are like, oh, they just go back to prison. Well, homelessness can be considered a crime, So, I mean, you could be, yeah, you could be reincarcerated just for the fact that you've been denied housing because you're a felon. It's such a vicious cycle. And a lot of people don't think about it or don't look at it like that because they've never experienced it themselves.
Looking back, do you think there were any resources or interventions that could have prevented you from going to prison?
Honestly, no, because I was a drug addict and I had resources at my disposal and I still continued on with using and drinking.
Wow.
And I think what I came to realize is I didn't have any coping mechanisms. Because if I was happy, I would drink. If I was sad, I would drink. If I was angry, I would drink. Like anything, any strong emotion, I drank or I got high. And so I think looking back, I just didn't know how to cope with those emotions or deal with life without doing that. So because I had dealt with CPS, I had been given chances to rehabilitate, and I just kept blowing it, basically, just out of pure selfishness, honestly. And yeah, I'm a way different person now, but I needed that time to sit down, and at least in the rehab, to sit down and examine my life choices and ask myself, is this what I want to continue on doing? Now I'm going to prison, like yeah. So
If you had the opportunity to say something to yourself at the beginning of it, what would you say?
like when I first started partying and stuff, I don't even know. I probably wouldn't have listened. Like I'm so just stubborn. Like if I could go back in time, I'd be like, you're gonna really cause some serious harm and end up in prison if you don't stop what you're doing.
That'd be a wild story, wouldn't it? Like, just imagine you coming to you, seeing this older lady come to you and tell you, look, I'm you. Just want you to know that you're going to be going to prison later on if you don't change your shit.
I probably would laugh. Back then, me would have laughed probably, honestly, because I was young, I was selfish, that's who I was this party girl. I didn't know anything else. So I could have never, like, and it's funny because out of my whole friend group, I probably would have been voted the least likely to end up in prison. Like, it was crazy that out of all of us, like, I was the one who ended up in prison because I was, like, really the most low key. But I just didn't, I drank and used drugs, but I wasn't, like, out committing crimes, I guess. So, but it can happen. But that's the thing, it can happen to anybody. You think, I'd driven drunk a bunch of times before that. You never think something like that's going to happen to you.
Definitely don't. What advice would you give to someone growing up in circumstances similar to yours?
Ah, man, that's kind of hard. Just that you just have to be patient, and like one day you'll be able to create your own life for yourself. This is just the beginning. Like when we're young like that, I'm friends now with like a lot of, I want to say kids, but like in their early 20s, and I'm like, this right now seems like
right.
this is your whole world. It feels like your world's crumbling and it's never gonna end or whatever, but it gets better like as long as you keep trying. And just because also when we're that age, we think we're so grown too. And
yeah, we're all grown.
Then you hit your 30s and you're like, yeah, I was a little kid, basically.
Do you believe society offers enough support for reintegration, or are felons set up to fail?
I feel like felons are set up to fail, totally. Like I said, if I hadn't, I mean, I got let out, put in a homeless shelter with no resources, no car. They gave me a bus card. I'm sorry, they gave me a bus card. And if I hadn't, like, not everyone has the drive and the grit and the organization that I do, though. You know what I mean? So it's
know-how.
Right, exactly. Or support system or any, not everyone has that. And so I was very lucky in that. And so my story is like, I just am very lucky. Not everyone comes out with the same thing. And like I said before, if you're getting denied for a job, getting denied for housing, I mean, especially if your crime was how you made money, and you can't get a job now because you're a felon, I mean, who wouldn't resort back to how they made money to survive by continuing to commit the crime? Like, it's not that crazy to that people get led back to that.
As a felon, what benefits have you experienced knowing that you're a felon? Whether that's a job opportunity or interview or DJ, like, is there anything that you can remember that was a positive for once?
I've been asked to be on several panels to speak on my experience. I did another podcast, and then like Aaron Kinsel did like the trauma camps. I volunteered at those, but I was still
that's where we met.
Yeah. I volunteered there 4 years in a row, and those were just always awesome experience to go and do that. I just went, Aaron had a workshop. It was at U of M, and it was a ropes course, and it was like a leadership team building day. And I just went because why not? It's a free activity for formerly incarcerated. Like, I take advantage of all that kind of stuff. Those camps were amazing.
It was, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, just, I've never had a situation in my life where I walked into a room full of people that I didn't even know and felt completely at home. And it was, I met LaWanda that first day. That's
the first time I saw her on the outside.
I think it was the first time I met Kamiko. And everybody but Danny, I think, or Danny and Rick. Everybody else, I had no idea who they were. And it was 3 days of that, and I left that place crying because I didn't want to leave. It was such a different experience, and I had only been out for like 6 months.
That's what I thought. You had just got out. Yeah.
And I woke up and I knew this stuff right here, what we're doing now, is like, I didn't know like this is what it was going to turn into, but like I had to get down to MC, and that definitely changed my life. It's definitely strange coming from a place where, we keep our guard up at all times, especially in a male facility, and yet those same people, like, I would feel more safe next to them than I would with normal people out here.
Right.
So it's such a crazy dynamic. Why do you think someone who has committed a crime or became a felon can change and contribute positively to society?
Why do I think people can change? Well, because I'm doing it. I've seen other people change. I hate to say anyone can do what I did, but at the same time, everyone's different and has their own unique experiences and stuff. So some people do need a little more help. And I think more resources being available would be, or even like
mentorships.
So I've been saying that for years now, that I would love to like team up with the parole office and have like kind of like a sponsor compared to like if you could want to compare it to something like an AA sponsor, like somebody like a guide, a peer mentor, that when you're first getting out, there's a lot to navigate.
Yeah.
And to have somebody who's been through it, who was successful, to help guide you, like our case manager or whatever, like They don't have case managers for people just getting out of prison. Like,
they definitely don't.
Yeah, they just throw you out there. And then like people who have done so, like I only did 3 years and it was, rocked my world. I just can't imagine the people who have done years and years and decades and stuff, like how hard that must be. And so yes, I think like peer mentors for people, like I said, teaming up with like the parole offices and doing that, I think could be huge and help people be so much more successful. Than just, then you're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to talk to any other felons. So it's like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
What are some ways the public can help support individuals transitioning back into society after prison?
I think it could start with people having a little more empathy and more open mind and not just look at people like and classify them as felon. Look at people for who they are as human beings that are deserving of basic human rights. They're not just the cast-offs of society. Like people can be productive, and I think that people don't realize how their views and opinions make it counterproductive. It's the same with racial discrimination and things of that nature. It's like if people would just, which it's just impossible. Like people are just get so stuck in their narratives or whatever, and but doing stuff like this is great because now you're taking us and humanizing us. We're not just a felon on a piece of paper. We're somebody who went through childhood experiences, went through trauma. You know what I mean? And like me, anyone who's ever drank and drove could have ended up in the situation that I did. So, it's
like what you said. Just you like telling people that you've been to prison because that's not something people would normally attribute to you, and it blows their mind. I don't know how much time we have to read and learn and plan, and it's just like.
Well, it's because people think you're just sitting there. It's like, no, I took classes, I worked. Like, I worked out. Like, you don't just sit there. I learned different crafts, you know what I mean? Like, I stayed busy and I worked on bettering myself. And some people do just sit around, honestly. Some people do just sit around all day or sleep all day or whatever. And if that's how they do their time, that's none of my business, but it's not everybody, So there are people, I would say the majority, from my experience as in the women's prison. I know that the men's is a lot different, but from my experience, most people were trying to better themselves.
What's the next big thing people are going to hear about for Kayla Mach?
Well, I'm going to be a master's social worker, and I can't wait for that. I'm ready. And then I plan to be an advocate for formerly incarcerated, and I'm doing the DJing and I'm also doing event promoting. So like we have a weekly electronic music night here in Lansing. So every week we have new DJs, new vendors. So promoting that and working on building a community. Our motto is that we're trying to the event's called Unity in Music. We're trying to build unity through music and art in our community. And then a couple months ago, I helped plan a 2-day music festival for International Women's Day. Okay. And so it was 2 days, and we had an all-female DJ lineup for both days. So it's something that is not very common. And I was just honored to be a part of it, just to be able to have all women. And that's another thing, like advocate for women and speak up for women's rights and everything else. That's really important to me too.
That DJ night, that's where we're going tonight, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, guess you how many tracks are you gonna play? Or what's your
it's an hour set.
Hour set?
Yeah, it should be 10 to 11.
You handle it?
Yeah, I think so. I played a couple times. I've only really been playing like not even 2 months. My boyfriend, he's been DJing for like 20 years. And so he's been teaching me, and so he's a really good teacher, obviously. And so I think I'm gonna do good. It's a DJ told me a couple months ago, I was playing another time and I was nervous about making mistakes. And she told me that's the beauty of live DJing. You're a real human playing music. Like there's gonna be mistakes. That's what makes it beautiful. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. So I think it's just like, it could just get intimidating because, people have been doing it a long time. They're going to notice the mistakes and stuff like that. Like, just who doesn't want to do well at things. So I just trying to give myself some grace. It's only been a couple months and really just have fun with it. And
what do you have to say to the people out in the world?
To the world, I just want to say you should not to judge a book by its cover. We need more empathy and love in the world. There's so much, especially now. There's so much division and hate. And if people would just come together, and also, like, if people would just stop worrying about what the next person's doing if it doesn't affect them. If something doesn't affect you, stop worrying about it. That's like, it bugs me so much. People put so much energy into worrying about what, sexual orientation, what race, what job people have. If people would just worry about themselves and, then the world would be a lot better place. And I think for the formerly incarcerated, just like keep at it. Like don't let being a felon hold you back. Like don't let anybody tell you that being a felon, you can't succeed, because you absolutely can. It just might be a little bit harder, but there's consequences, and just finding acceptance in that brings a lot of peace, I think.